Revolutionary greetings, comrades. Scholars on languages will tell you that language evolves with the time. We now have a new word in Zimbabwe. Maybe it has been there, but it's now trending. Zvigananda. It's a new term or a new word that was coined by one faction in ZANU-PF to refer to the looters, another section of the looters in Zimbabwe, whom we refer as the looting class. Because essentially, every ZANU-PF member in the Central Committee and their friends who are running businesses, they are looters. We have argued in this platform that none of them have built their wealth through genuine means. None. A capitalist, by their nature, they will never build their wealth through what we'll call correct or legal ways. No. Capitalism is about exploitation. So every ZANU-PF member in Central Committee who is in business has not built their wealth through fair means. They've been looting from the DRC, looting the diamonds in the Democratic Republic of Congo during the Congo War. We can go back to them being implicated in the Willowville motor industries, being implicated in the housing fund scandal, being implicated in the war veterans compensation fund, and all the scandals that we know of. What we have in Zimbabwe, you have inside the ZANU-PF one faction that is competing with the other in looting our resources. It feels that the other faction is now way ahead. And the one that is looting, which is close to the president, by the way, displays its wealth. It has closed or pushed out the other looting class in looting the resources, our natural resources. What then do? They then coin this term to say, let's fight against corruption, let's dismantle Zvigananda. This is the other faction in ZANU-PF. But this fight is not innocent as we are misled or we are made to believe. It is not innocent. It is a fight to have access to the Reserve Bank of Zimbabwe. It is a fight by this other class, which is now is on the periphery, to have access to our precious minerals. It is not a fight to benefit ordinary Zimbabweans, the working class peasantry. No. We saw what ZANU-PF did when it lost the constitutional referendum in 2000. Mugabe was paraded as anti-imperialist. But we know that Mugabe was never anti-imperialist. He used the anti-imperialist rhetoric to stay in power, to continue to loot. His anti-imperialist rhetoric was not genuine because an anti-imperialist revolutionary will not loot resources meant for the people, will not enrich their family, will not do that. We saw when the daughter of Robert Mugabe was divorcing, we were told that she had 21 farms. An anti-imperialist revolutionary will not accumulate so much wealth. those that have coined the word Zvigananda, they live in opulence. This ZANU-PF faction, if you read, unfortunately I have that book online. I read it online for the second time 2 weeks in November. If you read that book, the journalist puts correctly that these forces, the faction, the La Costa faction, which was up against the G40 faction in 2017, these leaders of these factions, they lived in the same neighborhood, Borodale, an affluent suburb for the rich. They all lived side by side. This is why even the bullets which we had, the firing, gunfire that we had in 2017, it was not in Bar, it was not in the city, it was in Borodale. Right? It is where the then Minister of Finance in Zimbabwe was found in his house, in his mansion, with a bag full of US dollars. It's in that same neighborhood where Emmerson Mnangagwa, after being fired as deputy president, had to plan his escape to Mozambique. It's the same neighborhood where the likes of Kaskwere Jonathan lived. It is the same neighborhood that the current president, the vice president, and everyone else have their mansions in. They live in opulence. But because of this competition to loot resources, to say, no, this faction is now ahead of us, right? We must also elbow out this faction. Then a term is coined, Zvigananda. And then all of us were mobilized against the one faction to pave way for the other looting class to have access to looting. And we must reject the entire looting class. This is why, as the Zimbabwe Communist Party, we are saying, if those behind the 31st movement are genuine, the first step they must do is to resign from ZANU-PF, is to disassociate themselves from the looting class, is to work with us to develop an economic framework which will assist in rebuilding a national democratic economy before we transit to socialism. So the cry should not be only about the corruption, It should be accompanied by what kind of society do you want to build post the Mnangagwa era. That's what we should be discussing. To say those inside ZANU-PF who are saying there is massive corruption and they've coined the term Zvigananda, what is their economic plan? Nothing. They have nothing. So we should not be, and we are not naive. It is our revolutionary duty to point out this, to say the mass of the people must not be blinded in supporting one faction as we did in 2017. So that this faction, which has been removed or been elbowed out from looting, should be assisted by us, the mass of the people, for it to go and loot. As I conclude, we are committed, as the Zimbabwe Communist Party, we are committed in building the 31st movement as a grassroots movement. This is why the Zimbabwe Communist Party is producing literature which was circulating to say, when we talk of agriculture, post the Mnangagwa administration, this is how we must organize production on our farms. This is how we must organize industries so that young people must have jobs. It should not be about removing Zvigananda that are aligned to one faction and replacing those Zvigananda with the other faction of Zvigananda for them to continue looting. We must reject that. We must dismantle the entire Zvigananda in ZANU-PF, which also find expression in the opposition. We have seen how they've destroyed particularly the seat of Harare. The seat council in Harare is corrupt. They are involved in land scams. They must go. And this requires us to unite around a clear agenda. And what is this clear agenda? Is that we must complete our liberation, build an economy that will benefit the mass of the people in Zimbabwe. Please write your comments in the comment section, like this video, subscribe to this YouTube channel. If you're on TikTok, please do follow us. Otherwise, Amandla comrades.